5:30, so we may as well get started. We'll start on our backs in Shavasana today, so you can make your way down to your back. And let your heels be nice and wide at the edges of your mat. And start to draw your awareness to your hips. Feeling the sensations here before we start to open them. But really just kind of drawing your awareness into your body. Start to explore with curiosity those sensations from your toes all the way up your legs, up your hips, up your spine to the crown of your head, from your fingertips to your shoulders. Explore that feeling of having a body. Noticing the weight of your body. And noticing the way that your breath feels as it flows through your body. And see again if you can start to breathe through your nose, in and out through your nostrils. Allowing the belly to expand upwards on that inhale through your nostrils. And allowing your belly button to drift back down towards your spine on that exhale through your nose. Also, see if you can start imagining your diaphragm. That muscle that partitions your chest from your abdomen, the muscle at the base of your ribs. And we like to train that muscle in our yoga practice by focusing on our breath. It moves downwards on the inhale, allowing your belly to expand, pushing down towards your pelvis, and on your exhale, it floats up like a jellyfish, pressing against your lungs to help them expel your air. It seems a little counterintuitive, but see if you can imagine it floating down like a jellyfish on your inhale and floating up like a jellyfish on your exhale. So see if for just a few breaths, you can carry on that nasal breathing, focusing on your diaphragm, the movement of your diaphragm. And see if with your nasal breath, you can create some resistance for the diaphragm to pull against, strengthening that muscle. And then whenever you feel ready, you can return your breath back to your natural, effortless breath. And just take one last moment to settle your mind, to sink deep into your mat. And see if you're able to stay there with your body, with your breath for your whole practice. in the present moment on your mat. So take a last moment to synchronize and connect. And then nice and slowly, you can start to expand your awareness out of your body into the room. Start to deepen your breath and wake your body up gently with some movements. Think of each of your joints, starting at your toes and working up your legs into the ankles, knees, and hips, and then moving into the fingers and moving up your arms, into the wrists, elbows, and shoulders. And eventually moving your head gently from side to side, waking up your neck. And you can flicker your eyes open if you want, but let's take that nice full body stretch, sending arms overhead and bringing heels together in the middle of the mat. And here, just do any movement that feels good, like maybe moving from side to side, lengthening one side, shortening the other, and moving in opposites. Maybe you just want to lengthen as long as you can. Maybe you want to play around with your spine, lifting your belly up and then maybe pushing the belly down towards the ground. Any little movements to stretch it out. And then we'll take another inhale into the belly. And then we'll exhale one at a time. Bring your knees in towards your chest, both knees. And you can just place your hands on your shins and rock from side to side, enjoying the massage on your spine. And then whenever you feel ready, we'll start to make some circles in the sky with both of your knees moving in opposite directions. So just let them circle away from you and outwards, just letting the hips know that we're going to be working them out here. Perfect. Focus on your core as well. See if you can keep tight in the core. In fact, for the whole class, imagine that you're moving through water, slow movements. Let's switch directions there, moving in opposite directions. Beautiful. And then we'll come to stillness in the center, and let's do a little bit of a twist. We'll send our arms out to a T and let the knees drift slowly to the left. Right shoulder blade stays connected to the mat if that's okay. And you can look out towards the right as well if you want to get your neck into the twist as well. Deep breaths through your nose into your belly. Enjoy the feeling of your belly expanding with your breath in your twist. And then we'll inhale our gaze up towards the center, squeeze those knees through center and let them drift over towards the right now. Left shoulder blade stays maybe connected to the mat and your gaze can follow the left as well. Breathing into the belly, into your twist. Beautiful. Let's inhale our gaze up to the center and those knees up to the center as well. And we'll place our hands on the shins. And now let's move into a series of hip warm-up opening. So we'll open up the knees. So you're just prying your legs open to open up your hips. Feel free to introduce some little wiggles or some movement here if it feels good into the hips, swaying maybe from side to side. We're just warming up. Perfect. Now let's change the position of our hands. We'll move our hands to the insides of the knees and use even more strength to open the knees up. So we're just getting deeper into the hips here. Beautiful. Getting in some dynamic movement as well. Nice and gently. Perfect. Now you can lift your head up and slide your hands down your shins to clasp the ankles. And then pull your head down to the ground, pushing your elbows into your knees to open up the hips a little bit more. Perfect. You can even let the soles of your feet touch and then clasp the pinky sides of both of your feet as they're closed up like a book. And just pull the feet tighter into you as you pull your knees further away from you. Getting into the hips. Again, wiggling the hips if it feels good. Getting juicy in your stretches. Awesome. Now let's open up to a happy baby. So clasp each pinky side of the foot with each hand and pull them apart, coming into that happy baby, pulling in on the soles of your feet so that your knees pull down towards your armpits or down towards the ground. If you want to play around with straightening the legs, that's perfect too, getting into the adductors or swaying from side to side, whatever feels good. And lastly, if you want a little bit more intensity, flip your positioning of your hands to clasp the insides of the heels. So that gives you a little bit more strength to pull down onto the knees. But again, find your edge. Sometimes our arm strength is a little stronger than our hips. So don't go too far here. Beautiful. Now let's slowly start to let go and drift the soles of your feet down to the mat. Let's do a figure 4. Let the right ankle cross over the left thigh, opening up to the figure 4, and then just go ahead and pull through the figure 4 to clasp your shin, the left shin or the left thigh, to pull in your knee or your figure 4 tighter in towards your body. Getting into the outer hip now. Swing from side to side if that feels good. Perfect. Nice slow breaths. All right, let's slowly unravel. Let the left sole of the foot fly down to the mat. And now let's keep the figure 4 as we come up to our elbows. And then once we're on the elbows, let's come all the way up onto the palms so that we're in a seated figure 4. Now press your palms into the mat as you pull your chest up towards the sky, opening up the chest. And it's up to you where your hips are in relativity to your left heel. You choose that. But you should be feeling it in the chest, opening in the chest and in the right glute as well. Perfect. We'll bring the gaze forward again. Now start to tuck the left heel on the outside of the right thigh and bring your right foot down. So we're moving into that half Lord of the Fishes stretch. So we'll take our our left hand to clasp our right knee and then just twist towards the knee. So you're getting into the twist here. You can allow your right hip to drift down towards the mat as well if you like. And your gaze can go past the right shoulder. You should feel kind of like an opening in the outer right hip, but also notice the closing of your inner right hip as well. It's closing up nicely. All right, let's slowly look forward with our gaze, and then we'll slowly move our whole bodies forward. And let's go back from where we came. So let's lean down back on our elbows and then all the way down and slowly unravel, switching out our figure 4. Left ankle goes on top of right thigh. And reach through your figure 4 to clasp wherever feels good for you. If you're wanting more intensity, slide your hands further up towards the knee so that you can pull your knee tight into your chest. Nice. You can bring in some movement into your ankles and your toes if you want, and you can sway from side to side. Just taking one last breath here. All right, and let's slowly drift the right sole of the foot back down to the mat. We'll come up to our elbows again, and then all the way up to the palms, and push those palms into the mat to lift your chest, lift your gaze, and scooch your hips wherever you want them to be, wherever you're feeling something on the left hip. But the trick is to push the mat away with your palms. All right, and we'll go ahead and bring our gaze forward and start to tuck that right heel on the outside of the left hip, bringing the left sole of the foot down. Right hand grabs the left knee and you twist towards the knee, getting into that half Lord of the Fishes, Matsyendrasana. Eventually looking out past that left shoulder. Notice how the belly, the breath into the belly pushes against your thigh here as you breathe into your twist. Beautiful. Let's bring our gaze forward and then unravel back through center. And let's slowly move to our tabletop. So just lean over to the right as you bring that left foot back and come to your tabletop position. And you know the drill here. Let's stack our wrists and shoulders and knees and hips, spread fingers wide, and then enjoy your tabletop however you feel like it. Moving your shoulders and your hips, getting into the spine nice and juicy. Again, focusing on the hips, maybe see if you can make circles and see what the hips feel like as you move in that circle, the inside of the hips and the outside of the hips. We'll take just a couple last breaths here, enjoying the movements. And then maybe for our last few breaths, we'll finish off with a couple cat-cows, exhaling, pushing the middle back up to the sky, and inhaling, arching in the opposite direction, belly button pulls down, crown of the head, tailbone push up. So just surf your breath, a couple more breaths. And then the next time that you're in your cat, keep pushing your mat away as you push your hips down to your heels, really sinking them in there, and then slide forward into your child's pose. Fingertips slide forward. Nice. Now enjoy a couple breaths in your child's pose. Maybe you want that wide-legged child's pose. Big toes touch, knees go towards the edges of your mat to really sink down into the hips. And again, as you breathe in and out through your nose, notice where your breath is being sent. It should be opening up the back of your body now. So allow those ribs to open up in the back of your body. Beautiful. Let's take one last breath. And then let's enjoy the slow movement into our downward facing dog. Spreading your fingers as wide as you can get them. And then moving through your tabletop, tucking those toes and just pushing the mat away as you lift your hips up. And then just explore your downward dog a little bit here. Any way that you enjoy in your practice. Maybe pedaling things out. Maybe even rippling forward into a plank. And then moving back up into a downward dog. Anything that feels good for you here. And then when you're ready, go ahead and settle into your downward dog, really driving those heels down and the tailbone up towards the sky and pushing the chest down towards the ground. Tucking your chin and spreading your fingers as wide as you can. And we'll go ahead and bring our big toes to touch in the middle of the mat. Keep on driving those heels down and tailbone up. We'll inhale, float our right heel up to the sky. Keep driving it up as you drive the left heel down to really get that stretch. Now on our inhale, let's go up to the left tippy toes and exhale. How slowly can you bring that right knee tight into your chest? Squeeze it tight. Push your mat away as hard as you can with your left toes and your palms. And then step that right foot forward. Left knee comes down, untuck that left toe and rise to your Anjaneyasana. Beautiful. Now, sink forward into the right knee so that you feel an extra stretch down the left psoas. You're really targeting that inner left groin. Beautiful. So your right knee can even go past the right ankle. Nice. Take one big inhale to lengthen up. And then we'll exhale into our Ardha Hanumanasana. Let's float the hands down and straighten out the right leg, flexing into your right foot. Now again, if you want, wiggle your pelvis from side to side to just kind of feel when it really targets those hamstrings. And you'll probably find that it's when your left hip pulls towards the left. So kind of like your left hip was drawing towards the right big toe. You should feel that stretch the most there. Last breath here. And let's bend our knee again. And we'll bring both of our hands to the inside of that right foot. And now move down deeper into your dragon. So come maybe to your elbows. Maybe if you have a block, you can come down to the block. And if you want to get a little deeper into this pose, you can inch your right toes forward and maybe your left knee backwards, almost like you were moving into the splits. So that's going to be intensifying it. For now, see if you can keep your right knee tucked close into the right shoulder, strengthening the hip a little bit there. And after this last breath, We'll go ahead and allow the right knee to drift away from the right shoulder so that you roll onto the pinky side of your right foot. So you're kind of opening the hip, both the outer right hip and the inner right hip. Perfect. Take one last breath here. And then slowly start to drift that right knee back in towards your shoulder. Come up onto your palms. Frame the right foot. And then we'll go ahead and tuck the left toes, lift the left knee, and slowly step back to our plank pose. Bend your elbows to lower your body. We'll inhale up to your cobra, pulling the chest forward and the shoulders back. And then we'll exhale, tuck the chin, and lift our hips back up to our downward facing dog. And just take a breath there. Beautiful. And then we'll do the other side. Let's bring our big toes together. Keep on driving those heels down. And we'll inhale the left heel up towards the sky. Now we inhale up to the right tippy toes. Exhale, left knee to chest. Squeeze it in tight. Create that space. Push your mat away. Plant left foot. Plant right knee. And rise to your Anjaneyasana. Perfect. Now we sink forward. Left knee goes past the left ankle so that you feel the stretch in your right psoas. Beautiful. Big inhales in through the nose. Belly expands. And then we'll exhale. Frame that left foot and send your hips back to your Ardha Hanumanasana, that half monkey pose, flexing into the left foot. See if you can engage that left quad and the kneecap. That should help to stretch it out nicely. And again, if you feel like it, explore your positioning of your hips. See if you can wiggle the hips back and forth, side to side, and see when you catch that really intense version of this pose. Beautiful. And then we'll bend into the left knee again. And we'll bring our hands to the inside of the left foot. And start to move down into whatever version you like. So either bringing your elbows to the block or elbows to the mat. And then again, if you want to intensify, we just inch the left toes forward, 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 or the right knee back, back, back. Really getting into the hips here. And we'll take a couple breaths with our left knee tight into the left shoulder. And then after this last breath, we can start to open up into the winged dragon, letting your left knee move away, rolling onto the pinky side of the left foot. Nicely done. All right, let's go ahead and bring that left knee in tight. Come up to the palms, reposition your left foot and frame it with your hands. And then we'll tuck the right toes, lift the right knee, and step ourselves back to our plank. And then again, here you can bend those elbows. You can come to the knees first if you want, or else maybe you just bend your body all the way down. Inhale to your back bend, lifting your chest, pulling your shoulders back. And then exhale, tucking the chin, moving through tabletop, and coming back to that downward facing dog. Enjoy a couple last breaths in your downward dog. And then whenever you feel ready, you can slowly make your way to the top of your mat, however you'd like to. Maybe tiptoeing or jumping, but make your way to your forward fold and enjoy your forward fold however you enjoy. Nice. Taking a couple breaths, maybe swaying from side to side. Maybe moving your center of gravity forward and back. And then whenever you're ready, you can settle into your forward fold, maybe even hugging the backs of your calves to pull the top of the body into the top of your legs. Beautiful. Take one last breath. And now we're going to move to our chair pose, Utkatasana. So shimmy your big toes to touch. Drive your knees together as you sink your hips, bending into the knees, and lift the fingertips up towards the sky. So we're deep in bending the knees, and then let your pelvis feel heavy in the back. So kind of tucking the pelvis, almost like there was something heavy hanging from your tailbone. But then we try to reach up with the fingertips, so you're lengthening. Let's take a big inhale into the belly through the nose. And then on our exhale, we'll bring the left knee tight into the chest, like the Karate Kid. All the weight's in the right leg, strengthening it out. Now, how slowly can you start to send the left leg back to your high lunge? Eventually, the left toes touch down. Drive that left heel back and lift your torso. You're in your crescent pose. Nicely done. Now, we'll take 3 breaths. We'll inhale, lengthen your fingertips tall. And on your exhale, we'll bend into the elbows. Squeeze the shoulder blades together. Lift the sternum. 2 more times. Inhale, lengthen those fingers. Exhale, bend the elbows like you're brushing the back of the room. Inhale, lengthen for the last time. And exhale, bend those elbows. Inhale, lift those fingertips up to the sky. Now this time, let's exhale, fold forward as you straighten the right leg. So you're folding over that right leg, almost like a pyramid pose, almost. Take a breath here. And now we're going to walk ourselves over to the left into a wide-legged forward fold. So start to walk those fingers to the left and pivot your toes so that you're in that wide-legged forward fold with your toes facing more inwards than your heels. Perfect. Awesome. So you should be in that wide-legged forward fold facing onto one of the sides. You've walked your hands all the way to the left. Perfect. And enjoy your forward fold however you like. Maybe you bring your hands back, maybe you clasp your ankles, whatever feels good for you. And now we'll bring our fingertips forward in front of us, and let's see if we can hover the fingers a few inches off of the mat, really engaging the core. Perfect. So from your lunge, you've walked over to the left so that you're in a wide-legged forward fold. Yes, exactly. Perfect. Now let's rise all the way up from our wide-legged forward fold, all the way up. We'll pivot the heels inward so that the toes face out to a 45-degree angle, and then bend into your goddess pose. Knees come down, elbows come down, and we're sinking into the hips nicely. See if you're able to stack knees on top of the heels a bit and sink deeper into the hips. Beautiful. Now we'll go ahead and bring our hands down to rest them on the thighs. Push your knees away as you lower your shoulders. And then we'll just do a couple of little dynamic movements. Pull your right shoulder forward, left shoulder back. All the while you're pushing those knees back, opening the hips. And then you can switch. Left shoulder comes forward, right shoulder's back. Push those knees open, get into the hips. And then we'll come back through center. This time we'll slide our hands down the insides of our shins and eventually clasp the ankles. And once you've got those ankles, bend your elbows and push them against the knees. So you're really sinking into the hips here and pushing the elbows into the knees so that they're pulling away from you. Beautiful. And you can even move slightly from side to side if that opens up your hips a little more, kind of like a little spider. Perfect. And we'll come to stillness in the center, and we'll start to come all the way up. Push your mat away with the soles of your feet. Straighten your legs. Send your arms overhead into star pose. And then we'll push the hips forward as we pull the shoulders back to get a little mini back bend. And again, open the psoas. Perfect. Big inhale. Beautiful. And then we'll slowly come back through center. And we'll just pivot over to the right, bend into the right knee so you're back in your crescent pose facing forward with your right knee forward. Beautiful. Now keep your right leg exactly where it is and shift your weight forward to come back into your chair pose. Left toe comes to the right toe. Beautiful. Tuck that pelvis, lengthen the fingertips. Nicely done. We're going to do something on the other side now. So all the weight into your right foot. Left knee comes up to your chest. or sorry. Your right knee is coming up to your chest. My apologies. All the weight's in your left foot. And slowly step back with that right leg. And the left leg is forward. Perfect. And you're in your crescent pose here. Lovely. Good job. Sorry about that. Now we'll take those 3 breaths. Inhale, lengthen your fingers. And exhale, bend those elbows. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bend the elbows. And last time, inhale to lengthen. Exhale to bend those elbows. Nice. Send your fingers up to the sky on that inhale. And we'll exhale to float our hands down as we straighten the left leg this time into that kind of pyramid pose. Really strengthening into the left leg. All right, now we'll walk our hands over to the right so that we get into that wide-legged forward fold again. Beautiful. Now this time we're going to do a low lunge to the right. So start to bend into your right knee and sink your hips down, flexing into the left foot. Yes. Now you can either have your hands down on the ground for support. Maybe you bring them to your heart in the Anjali Mudra. Or maybe you push your right shoulder against the inside of your right knee and float the left fingertips up to the sky. See where you're at, but you're wanting to feel that good feeling in the right hip. Beautiful. All right, last breath. And we'll float the left hand down. Now, super slow movements as we move over to the other side. So start to straighten the right leg and bend into the left knee, getting into that low lunge on the other side. Right heel flexes. Now again, choose your positioning of your hands. Maybe they support you on the ground. Maybe they're in those heart Anjali Mudra. Or maybe left shoulder presses against left knee and the right hands fly up to the sky. If the left heel needs to lift up off of the ground, that's absolutely fine. But you just want to get a nice little stretch in the left hip. Beautiful, big inhale. Let's float our right hand down and we'll just start to pivot our hands over to the left to come into a runner's lunge. And then we'll inhale up to our crescent pose with the left knee facing forward. Keep the left leg exactly where it is and step the right foot up to meet the left in your chair pose. Take one last big inhale here to lengthen the fingertips, belly expands. And exhale, stand it all the way up nice and slowly in your Tadasana at the top of your mat. Beautiful, nicely done, guys. Let us flow. We're gonna do a couple of Surya Namaskar A and then B, and we'll finish off with a pretty simple flow, but we're gonna focus on those hips. So we're gonna experience our poses a little bit different. So here we are in our mountain pose. Let's get nice and strong, rooted into our feet. Let that energy move up the legs, into the glutes, into the pelvis, up the spine. Let those shoulders squeeze together and pull down. And all the way through the crown of your head. Be one long line of energy. Sternum lifts up to the sky. And we'll inhale to lengthen, Talasana. We'll exhale, swan dive down to your forward fold. We'll inhale to the half lift, pull the chest forward and hips back. And we'll exhale to our plank pose. Bend our elbows, lower our body. We'll inhale, chest up, shoulders back to the back bend. And we'll exhale to tuck the chin and enjoy that movement as we move the hips up to our downward facing dog. So take those 5 breaths in your downward dog. Slowing everything down. Catching the breath again, releasing the heat. And connecting back up with the body, breath, mind. Right, our next exhale, we'll bring our feet to the top of the mat. However you want to get them there. Inhale to the half lift. Exhale to the forward fold. Inhale, rise all the way up. Reaching tall. And exhale, Tadasana. Beautiful. Now we'll inhale to lengthen for the second set of Surya Namaskar A. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale to your half lift. Exhale to plank. Chaturanga. Inhale, chest up, upward facing dog. Exhale, hips up, downward facing dog. 5 breaths. Go through that downward dog checklist. And we'll exhale our feet back to the top of the mat. Inhale, half lift, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, relax into the forward fold. Inhale, rise, lengthen, and exhale to your mountain pose, Tadasana. Beautiful, let's do Surya Namaskar B. Inhale to the chair pose, Utkatasana, sink those hips down. Lengthen the fingers, reach for the sky. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, feet to the back of your mat. Chaturanga. Inhale, chest up. Exhale, hips up. We'll inhale the right heel up to the sky, 3-legged downward dog. Exhale, right knee to chest. Plant right foot, plant left heel, and rise to that warrior 1. Inhale from the nose to the belly, lengthen the fingers, and exhale, vinyasa. Frame that right leg, step it back to plank, bend your elbows lower, inhale to the upward dog, and exhale to your downward dog. We'll inhale, left heel to the sky, exhale, left foot forward, right heel plants, rise to that warrior. Lengthen, and a big inhale from the nose to the belly. And we'll exhale to vinyasa. Step it back. Bend your elbows. Lift your chest on the inhale. And lift those hips on the exhale. Downward dog for 5 breaths. Or your child's pose if you'd like. But just slow everything down. Focus on that breath. And focus on the sensations in your body. We'll take one last breath here. And we'll exhale our feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana, the half lift. Exhale, relax, forward fold. Inhale to your chair pose, Utkatasana, hips pull down, reach those fingers up. And exhale, you're all the way up to your strong Tadasana. Nicely done, let's flow. We'll inhale, lengthen. Exhale, fold forward with a nice strong spine. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, plank. Chaturanga. Inhale, upward facing dog. Exhale, downward facing dog. We'll inhale that right heel up to the sky. And let's open up our hips. Right hip stacks on top of left and bend into the right knee. Now what we're trying to do here is stack the hips on top of each other. Drive your right knee up to the sky like it was going to touch the ceiling. And then push your left hip forward and forward. Get the hip sensation. And we'll go ahead and square our hips back off. Inhaling, lengthening the right leg out, and exhaling, right knee to chest. Plant that right leg. And we'll rise to our crescent for just one breath. Inhale, lengthen those fingers. And exhale, open up to the warrior 2. Left heel comes down. And sink into the knee there on the right knee. Perfect. Long line from fingertip to fingertip. Gazes past the front middle finger. Beautiful. Now again, focus on those hips. See if you can bring the left hip and the right knee back as you push your pelvis forward. So open up those hips. Get the sensation in your warrior in the hips. When you feel like you've got that, let's reverse the warrior. Right palm flips up. Left palm floats down as you reach with the right hand. Now I want you to see about sinking deeper into the right knee. Even let the right knee go past the right ankle. That should really get a stretch into the left groin, the area there. And if you're strong in the right leg, you won't damage your knee at all. You're fine. Take a nice big inhale into the right side. And then exhale back through warrior two. And we'll move to Trikonasana. So straighten that right leg. Send the left hip back. Feel what that's doing to the right inner thigh. Reach forward with the right fingers and float them down, lifting left fingertips up to the sky. Now again, we've focused on the hip, so you can even place your hands on either hip and see if you can actually physically draw with your left hand, draw the left hip back as you push the right hip forward. That's what you're hoping for, to stack those hips together. And then you can enjoy your triangle when you feel that feeling. Lifting the left hand up, right hand down. Perfect. We'll take one last big inhale. And then we'll exhale. Use your core to come all the way up and reverse your triangle. Left hand floats down, right hand floats back. Inhale through the nose into the right side. And then when you're ready to exhale, we'll move into our Utthita Parsva Konasana. So warrior two bends into the right knee, and then place your bent right elbow on the right thigh as you bring the left hand forward. Now again, use your right elbow as leverage to push your right knee away from you. And then also to stack that left shoulder on top of the right. So you're pulling the left shoulder back. Beautiful. Take a nice big inhale. All right, now our very last little move here, we're gonna see if we can move from here to our half moon. So you can bring your gaze down to your right big toe and then play around with floating your left leg up. So bring your weight forward and lifting the left leg into your Ardha Chandrasana. Take a couple tries. You don't have to get it right the first time. We're just practicing that balance. Our hips are nice and open. So the key is to bring that gaze down to the right big toe and then shift the weight as you launch the left foot up. Beautiful. If you catch it, take a couple breaths. Otherwise, keep on trying. And then whenever you're ready, we'll start to bend into the right knee as we slowly float the left foot down, super slow. Eventually, we'll lift back into our warrior two. We'll take a nice big inhale there. And let's exhale, Vinyasa. Windmill those hands down, framing right foot, step back to plank. Bend those elbows, Chaturanga. Inhale to the upward dog. And exhale, you're in your downward facing dog. Let's finish up with that other side. Let's inhale, left heel up to the sky. Open up those hips, left hip stacks on top of right, bend into left knee. Keep pulling the left knee up to the ceiling as you push the right hip forward, like to the left. All right, and we'll square the hips back up. Inhale the left leg out long and exhale, left knee to chest. Plant the left foot and rise to your crescent pose, driving the right heel back, sinking into that left knee. We'll take an inhale into the belly and reach those fingertips tall. Exhale, open up, right heel pulls down, and you're in that warrior two, nice and strong. Play around with the hips. Left knee, right hip, pull back as pelvis pushes forward. Get into the hips there, real nice. When you feel solid in the bottom half, let's reverse. Left palm up, right palm floats down, left fingertips float back. Beautiful. Now, if you feel comfortable, you can start to maybe sink into that left knee even further. Left knee goes past left ankle. Feel the right hip open up even more and reach those left fingertips back even more. We'll take a big inhale into the nose, into the belly. And exhale back to your warrior two. Trikonasana, straighten that left leg. Right hip pulls back. The left adductor stretches out. Left fingertips pull forward and float into your Utthita Trikonasana, your extended triangle. Keep driving left hip forward, right hip back as you get juicy into your hips here in your triangle. Nicely done, guys. We're almost done here. Let's engage our core and come all the way up. Reverse our triangle. Right hand floats down. Left hand reaches back. Take a big inhale into the left side through your nose. Exhale, extended side angle pose. So move through warrior two. Bend left elbow onto left thigh and right palm or fingertips reach forward. Now again, use your left elbow to push that left knee away as you push the right shoulder also away, stacking it. Opening up chest and hips. Beautiful. We'll take one last breath. Now bring your gaze down to that left big toe and see about shifting that weight. Whatever you got to do to push into the right leg to shoot it up, launching it up into that half moon, Ardha Chandrasana. So take a couple tries, or a few of them, and as long as you're trying, you're progressing for sure. Beautiful. Maybe you're able to catch just 1 or 2 breaths in your Ardha Chandrasana, stacking the top hip on top of the bottom. And whenever you're ready, save some in the tank, because how slowly are you able to bend into that left knee and float the right leg down? Eventually the right toes touch down and you're back in your strong warrior two, the last warrior two. Let's take a big inhale into the nose, into the belly. Exhale, vinyasa. Windmill those hands down. Step back to plank. Bend your elbows lower. We'll inhale to our back bend, and we'll exhale to the downward facing dog for those last 5 breaths. Nice job slowing everything down. Enjoying your inversion here. Enjoying your breath in through the nose, soft breath. Out through the nose, soft breath, but long breath. Beautiful, and whenever you're ready, you can inhale up to your tippy toes, and then exhale, super duper slowly bend into your knees, slowly lowering them down to your mat. Eventually, the knees touch down. Untuck your toes, and sink your hips back to your child's pose. Any child's pose that feels good for you. Maybe that wide-legged child's pose, but maybe you rather want a bit of a closing in the hips, keeping the knees facing forward. But the main thing is you're slowing that breath down and stretching out the back of your body. All right, and whenever you're ready, you can slowly start to lift yourself up, sitting your hips back onto your heels into that hero pose. Enjoying the stretch on your quads here and on your shins and the tops of your feet. And then we'll go ahead and send our hips over to one side and straighten our legs out in front of us. And we're going to do a little dynamic hip opener before we finish off with Upavishta Konasana, that wide-legged hip opener, you know, the green beans of yoga. So what we'll do is We'll send our hips back. So you can shimmy the hips back a little bit so that you get some anterior tilt of your pelvis. And we'll see if you're able to reach for your toes and maybe take your peace fingers and wrap them around your big toes. That's wonderful. If not, that's absolutely fine. You can rest your hands wherever they land, on your shins or wherever they're landing. But what we'll do is we'll start to bend into the right knee and then take our right peace fingers and clasp our right big toe. And then from here, like I say, you're either gripping the left big toes with your peace fingers, or else you're just leaving the left hand on your shin. Now let's start to lift the right foot up, almost like a happy baby. And now we're going to pretend our foot is an archer, like a bow and arrow. So bend the elbow to pull your ankle towards the ear. Like I say, it's kind of like a happy baby. And then on our exhale, we'll straighten the leg back out. And then inhale, bend the elbow, pull that foot by your ear, as close to the ear as you can get it. And just 2 more times, straighten it out. And bend that elbow, pull it in. Last time, straighten it out. And pull it in, pull it back. Beautiful. And we'll slowly start to send that right leg out. And we'll do the other side. So here we go, wherever your hands are, that's where they're at. We'll bend into the left knee this time. Take those left peace fingers to grab your left big toe. And here we go, we'll lift the leg and bend the left elbow back to bring that left foot close to the ear. And straighten the leg back out. Do that a couple more times. Just really get into the hips as deep as you can or as you want. Sending it out. The archer pose. Maybe you're clasping the big toes with the right hand as well. Last time here. And then we'll bring that left leg forward. And you can go ahead and slowly lift up and just shake your knees out, or maybe even just pivot the toes back and forth, just kind of resetting the hips. Nicely done. We're so close. We're just going to finish off with that nice hip opener, Upavishta Konasana. So we'll send our legs nice and long into however deep of a V that you want. Maybe try to really get into it. Snuggle in with your hips. See if you can keep the quads and the kneecaps lifted, or engaged anyways. And we'll tent our fingertips in front of us and push into the mat to lift our sternum up to the sky, to straighten the spine. And then maybe, this could be exactly where you stay, or maybe you start to walk the chest forward, folding forward, hinging at those hips. Like I say, find your own edge, and sometimes it's minute movements. There's no perfect shape that you're trying to make. All you're trying to do is feel a stretch inside of your hips and the adductors. So we'll just take 5 breaths or so here. Maybe your body will open up for you a little bit and you can lean more and more forward. But slow that breath down. And breathe into the hips, engaging those patellas, your kneecaps, and your quads. Nice job, guys. You've got 2 more breaths. Do you have anything more to surrender into this pose? And whenever you feel ready, you can start to press your mat away and walk your hands towards your pelvis. Now, what I like to do to get out of here is to send my hands behind my hips and just push into the mat to lift my hips up just a little bit and scooch them back to narrow the V, and then slowly just allow the legs to come forward. So just kind of figure out your best way to do it. And once again, just shake out the knees and move the feet, the toes from side to side. Beautiful. We'll do a little counter postures here, so don't worry. Let's go ahead and roll onto our backs here now. So we'll super slowly roll ourselves down. Nicely done. Let's slide our heels up towards our glutes and then send your heels wide to the edges of your mat and allow your knees to drift in towards the midline. If you're able to send your feet even further and further away, go for it to get that closing of the hips. Some people can actually bring their knees down to the mat, which I would never be able to do. But if you can, absolutely go for it. Just get that nice closing of your hips after we've opened them up so much. Slow things down, breathing in and out through your nose. Beautiful. Now, if your feet are much wider than the mat, let's shimmy them back to the edges of the mat, and we'll finish up with some windshield wipers. So you can send your arms out long if you want, and just slowly allow your knees to drift over to each side, matching the movement to your breath. Nice slow movements. Your hips might be very fragile right now. So just do some little movements, slow movements, as you release the hips and release the lower back. Beautiful. And when you feel nice and balanced, you can keep your knees up to the sky. And let's take 5 breaths to finish off with any little stretch that you would like to do. Maybe it's an inversion, sending those feet up to the sky. Maybe it's a twist. Any little thing that feels good for you that your body is kind of calling out to feel. Nice job. And we'll take just a couple last breaths to slowly make our way to our final resting pose. No rush at all. And eventually sending your legs out long, heels to the edges of your mat. Closing into your eyes. And drawing back internally. Giving yourself these last few moments of pure, pure freedom. Freedom from anything that exists outside of your body. Enjoy the sensations of your practice moving through your body. Enjoy that breath moving through your body. And just for a couple moments, enjoy your Shavasana. And slowly, gently starting to expand your awareness out of your body and into your room. Starting to deepen your breath. And gently, gently starting to wake up your body with some subtle little movements. And whenever you feel ready, you can start to bend into your knees and roll over onto any side with your head resting in your bottom bicep. And just for a couple breaths, enjoy this position here. And then whenever you feel ready, you can press yourself up to a seated position. If you are working on your lotus or your Padmasana, you can see about trying to maybe move into it since your hips are open nicely. And then we'll go ahead and bring our palms to our heart in the Anjali Mudra and bow our heads. Gently opening your eyes, adjusting to the light. And thank you guys so much for sharing your practice with me this way. Namaste.